Hey everybody, it's Crypto Mux here for another exciting tutorial. In this one, I'll be showing you how to understand SQL injection in a WASP WebGoat 8. I'll be showing you how the attack works and also the mitigations coming right up. Stay tuned everybody. Okay everybody, so this is the WASP WebGoat 8, and the particular one we're going to be talking about is SQL injections. We're going to be covering the mitigations, we're going to be covering the type attacks and advanced attacks. So first thing we want to do is we want to understand what SQL injection is. Now basically in layman's terms, SQL injection is a code injection vulnerability that allows attackers to execute or insert nefarious SQL statements into input fields. So this is basically the goals for us. The user should have a basic understanding how SQL works and what it is used for. The next one is the user will understand the best practices for defending against SQL injection attacks. And then the user will demonstrate knowledge on string SQL injection and numerical SQL injection. Let's go to the next tab. It just basically tells you what SQL injection is. Well, actually what the structured query language is. It tells you about SQL. And also tells you different functions and manipulation functions we can use in SQL. So yeah, that's basically that. And then the third tab is, now this is where it tells you what SQL injection is. Now I already covered it, I already told you a layman's term what SQL injection was, but this is what they say is a SQL injection attack consists of insertion or injection of a malicious data via the SQL query input from the client to the application. That might sound a little bit confusing. My term, I like my definition better. I just find it easier for me to understand. But a successful SQL injection exploit can read and modify sensitive data from the database, execute administration operations on the database, if it's like shutting down or auditing or the database management system, or truncate tables and logs, add users. But the most type of dangerous SQL attack is to drop all databases, because you can also inject a SQL statement that will delete all the databases. So therefore it will render that website useless. It just won't probably work properly. That was the fourth tab. The fifth tab is the severity of SQL injection. So that just tells you a bit of that. 6 is an example of a SQL injection. So this is where we get into the SQL injection attack. So this is the potential string injection. So as you can see here, it's got this SQL query, but it concatenates the username. So this username will be where we input the username into the text field or the input field. This is numerical injection, so it's basically the same, but instead we're inserting a number of some sort into the input field. And this is what the attacker supplies. This is what the attacker. This is the attack. This is the strings of attacks we can use. So we can do this, we can do those, also those. But what we want to do is we want to go dive straight into the practice. We want to practice it. So this is basically where we can actually practice our SQL injection. So this here is the query that this is the SQL statement that it's using. And as you can see, if you type in any name, we'll just type in, say, Smith. Because as you can see here, it says however you can use Smith to see the data. If you type in Smith, it shows all his results, and that's what's happening is it's inserting Smith into the username and executing a query. But what happens if we insert a quote and then an or 1 equals 1 and then this comment here? As you can see, it's actually listed all the users and their first name, last name, the CC number, the cookie, and the login count. So this attack was successful. All we did is we typed in a valid user, inserted the quote to basically cause the query to crash, and then or 1 equals 1, and then this little comment here. What that's doing is that's saying, you know, it's making this this query always true. So then it will and then it will basically, so put a T, it will basically print out all the results for us. Type that correctly. That's that one. The next one is 8. This one here is pretty much the same as before, but instead we're actually inserting a number. So if you just insert, like say 10, if you can see here 101 is to see the data for one user. Insert 101, that's going to print out the user Joe Snow. So 101 is the user Joe Snow. But say we want to figure out all the users, so all their user IDs and everything, that print out the whole database. So we put this quote, it's basically the same as before, but instead we're just putting a 101. Instead it's a numerical SQL injection vulnerability. So we execute this, get account info. I've actually made a mistake, so I'll just have a look at this. So it was 101. Let's have a look. I think I have to insert at the start as well. Awesome, we did it. Awesome, well done. As you can see here, I just copied this here and pasted that in, and then just put or 1 equals 1, and then a comment. So that will print out all the users and their last name and etc. Now, some of the advanced SQL injection attacks is covered in this section here. So I'm just going to show you one that was a little bit tricky at first, but I figured it out. It was really simple when I actually figured it out. So here the goals are combining SQL injection techniques and also blind SQL injection. We're not going to be covering blind SQL injection because that can be a bit time consuming and it can be a bit hard. So you're best to use an automation tool like SQL Map for that sort of stuff. And these are the special characters and the comments and stuff. We won't go through that too much. It tells you the special statements and the quotes and the concatenation, all the different sort of special characters. But this attack here, right? We want to sort of select, it says here, let's try to exploit a join to another table. One of the tables in the WebGoat database is this user system data. Execute a query to union or join these tables. And we have to basically figure out Dave's password. So if we do insert this quote, and then we go select from user system data, and then put this at the end. And this is actually basically what this is doing is it's selecting all the users from this database and printing them out. Let's have a look. Awesome, we have successfully done it. As you can see here, the user ID 105 is Dave's password. It's Dave, and then the password is this. The password is password. Very, very bad password, but anyway, we type that in, check the password, and we have successfully done it. Now let's have a talk about some of the mitigations. Some of the mitigations that we can use to prevent SQL injection is static queries. So we can just insert a static query. Well, actually, this is the most important one I like is the parameterized queries. So what you have is this string that assigns a query to the string variable query. So this select from users where last name is equal. Wherever you want to insert a variable of some sort, you put a question mark. So you put a question mark here. That last name will be any sort of last name. It could be Dave or whatever. The last name is wherever you're going to insert data. You put the query. I mean that's the question mark. Sorry. And then you use the prepared statement, and you pass in that query into the prepared statement, and then you set that question mark to the account name. So as you can see, there's only one question mark. So we set the string to the first question mark, and then the account name will be inserted into there. And then we just execute the query. It's pretty simple to understand, but it takes a while to get used to it, but it's actually pretty simple. Everything where there's data, you put a question mark and you insert the data into that question mark. I'm not an expert at this field, so I'm just going by my intuition. I don't know it that much, but I have a rough idea how to explain it. Stored procedures are also useful. Let's have a look at 2. Yeah, this is an example of safe stored procedures. I'm not going to go too much into that, but that's pretty useful too. 3 is this is an example of a parameterized query. So as you can see here, is user valid? It's passing in a username and it's checking to see if that username is valid. And they're using regular expressions here because that can be really useful to figure out if it's a username, or it could sort of match. It could sort of use regular expressions to do pattern matching. And as you can see, it's using this regular expression there, and it's checking to see if it's a valid user. And then if it's a match, it will return the username. And here's an example of a parameterized query using SQL. So it's basically preparing the statement, and it's putting a question mark where we're going to insert the username. And then it's setting that first question mark, that first question mark, there's only one, and it's inserting the username into there. And then it's executing the query. This is an example for JavaScript, which is pretty cool. And there's also an example for Java. I'm not going to go through too much through this, but it's basically the same. It's just except it's a different language, Java. 5, and that's just the .NET example right there. 6 is input validation. This is really necessary. It tells you, is input validation required? Well, since my queries are no longer injectable, do I still need to validate my input? And the short answer is yes, you do. No matter what, you do. Because if you don't do any sort of input validation, you could be vulnerable to cross-site scripting. So input validation prevents the other types of attacks from being stored in a database, like stored cross-site scripting, information leak, logic errors, and SQL injection. So you do need to use input validation. And order by clause. That just tells you some examples on how to mitigate order by clause. And that's pretty much it. Next video, I'll be talking about authentication flaws. So please stay tuned, and I hope this was very informative. I hope this was really helpful. If you need help, just comment below or email me, and I'll be happy enough to help you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and click on the notification button to get notified for upcoming videos. So yeah, that was basically how to understand SQL injection and how to mitigate it and how to attack it. So I hope you liked this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in later videos. Catch you later, everybody. Enjoy and happy hacking.